A newly confirmed Secretary of Delaware's Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control, Shawn Garvin, joins me now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, Senate Republicans blocked the initial vote to confirm you in January when much of Governor Carney's cabinet was confirmed. Were you just as surprised as we were?
Well, you know, I was surprised because I know my qualifications for the job and my abilities. Not surprised. I've been around long enough to know that there's a lot of other things that come into play. And, you know.
Well, in your instance, the block happened because the Senate didn't have enough votes. A Senate Republican had to leave because of a family emergency. Do you think that was a coincidence, or was there politicking there?
You know, you're really going to have to ask the Republican caucus to respond to that. I can't speak to motives, but you know, it was what it was, and we worked through the process, and I'm just happy to be now confirmed and doing the work for the people of Delaware.
So in what forms are we going to start seeing changes in Delaware as a result of President Trump's executive order to sort of roll back some of these climate change regulations?
Well, I think it goes more than just, you know, rollback of climate change, and I've heard what the president's intention are and what the EPA administrators' intentions are, kind of different ways. Review, rolling back. I mean, put on cars and light-duty trucks standards on hold, and a whole lot of other places. And you know, it's really kind of going back. You know, the science is settled. You know, climate change is real. Human beings are having impact on it. We may be the last, you know, generation, the last time where we can make a difference in trying to change the path we're on.
But if the president doesn't see it that way, then
it's problematic. It's absolutely problematic. And you look at our state. You know, the lowest lying state in the country, and the impacts we're already feeling. And you know, Delaware has a very, very small part to play in the actual mitigation, relies on national leadership, and that national leadership has translated in the past administration into worldwide leadership. And so if the United States is backing, taking a step back from that, it's got global impacts that we may not be able to reverse.
Prior to heading up DENREC, you were high up in the ranks over at the EPA. You were an administrator for the region of the Mid-Atlantic.
Sure.
How closely does the EPA work with the state of Delaware and DENREC? I mean, now being both sides of it.
Right, extremely close. I mean, the whole idea is the state's the on-the-ground implementer of environmental and public health laws and regulations, and the work that and the partnership goes beyond just the regulatory side. It's education, it's communication, it's technical support, it's scientific, it's monitoring, it's a whole lot of things that really focuses on the mutual goal of protecting air, water, and our lands. And you know, there are federal statutes that are delegated and authorized to the states. So the state has the responsibility for implementing them, and they're consistent with, you know, state rules and regs. And so there's a great partnership that goes on between the EPA and the state of Delaware, and really states throughout the country.
Do you see less of this sort of back and forth education and all these initiatives as a result of the proposed federal cuts? I mean, there were some deep cuts to the EPA.
Proposed cuts. We'll have to see what Congress ultimately does as it relates to, you know, a 61% cut. You know, will have a dramatic impact on the state of Delaware and our ability to protect the people of the state. And so we'll have to see how that plays out.
So this is a lot more than just trying to do less, trying to do more with less. I mean,
yeah, you know, and I never really bought into that, the concept of doing more with less. You know, the resources you have, there's only so much you can do with those resources. You can really look at ways you can be more efficient. I think what's critical, and I think that the state has been moving in that direction, is really how do we partnership better? How do we look, you know, across agencies and see where there's opportunity to leverage both activities and resources? How do we work with communities? How do we work with cities and counties? How do we work with businesses and environmental organizations to get to draw on all our resources to accomplish the goals that we really need to do for the people of Delaware.
Finally, first order of business for you as DENREC Secretary.
Well, I don't know that there's necessarily a first. There's multiple tracks. Obviously, the legislature's in session and working with the governor on economic development and addressing the budget shortfall, getting to know the people of the department. The big issues, kind of are easy to identify, but really spending time in the department to figure out all the other nuanced issues. There's incredibly talented people in the department who are doing incredible work, and there's value at it, and so really learning the department. And then lastly, I'm venturing into getting the opportunity to do more on the natural resources side, which I met with employees and told them that their responsibility is to get me out from behind the desk and out into Delaware's environment to see all the great assets that the state has and all the great work that's going on. So multiple tracks, but I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Well, there are lots of beautiful places here for sure.
Absolutely.
DENREC Secretary Shawn Garvin, thank you so much for being our first person today.